breaking down 5 more prospects and their recruitments from the state of Florida.
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back into the Portal Podcast, where you get your daily recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal news. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football writer and recruiting analyst. Thank you for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day. And today's show is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. 5 more players. We're going to be breaking down my list once again. We're going to finish it up by the end of the weekend. This is going to be number 40 through 36 in the Sunshine State. And we start off with a player that some people have as a 5-star. Other people don't know where to rank him. I fall in the latter category. And to be honest, out of everybody on this list, this is the one that I could be the most right about or wrong about at the end. I'm going to do a rankings at the end of the year after the football season in December. But again, this is a very unique player. Doesn't go to the Under Armour camps and a lot of the other tournaments. So nobody sees him live unless you live down in Southwest Florida, because he was at North Fort Myers High School, and that is James Johnson, defensive tackle, 6'2", 6'3", 280 pounds, somewhere in that range. My goodness, is he a bull in a china shop. But again, he plays in Southwest Florida, not Southeast Florida, not like Fort Lauderdale area. He's not playing against the elite offensive linemen every week, to say the least. But he does dominate. How do you rank a kid like that? Right now, I've got him at number 40, but he could end up at number 4 in my postseason rankings. I need to see him in an all-star competition and a one-on-one against, quite frankly, elite players. I haven't seen it yet. And I'm very, very big on in-person evaluations with linemen. They just destroy high school competition as a rule. It doesn't matter which side of the ball it is. They're too big, too fast, too strong for most kids at the high school level. Johnson's film speaks for itself. But again, I'm not sure how to rank him exactly. So right now I got him at number 40. The things that I noticed first about his film, power. He will do the traditional, here I come, right off the snap of the football, 2 hands into the chest of the offensive line. If they don't get their hands up quick, he annihilates them. And then he just shoves them out of the way and will track the football, whether it's a pass or a run. Changes directions well. Has good speed to the football. And he's also a guy that hits with some ferocity. He is an old school player with a very athletic mindset, because he knows that he's faster and can get into the offensive lineman's chest. So that's why he does what he does. But he'll occasionally just shoot a gap and dip his shoulder and go. Really fun football player to watch. Again, I'm just not sure how to rank him exactly the way I would want yet, because I haven't seen him live. He's one of the few kids on this list that I haven't seen live. And I'm really excited to. Hopefully he goes to one of the all-star games after the season or something like that. But he's supposedly going to transfer to Miami Northwestern. We'll see if that comes to fruition. If he does, it'll be easy. I don't even have to see him live necessarily. There'll be plenty of film of him against the elite players. That'll take care of itself. But for now, James Johnson, again, I'm either going to be really right or really wrong about his early ranking. I'll rank him again after the season, and we'll see where he goes. Next up on my list at number 39, this is another player that is very talented. He does a lot of different things in terms of his versatility. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can find it at the Portal Podcast on YouTube. Dalen Green, he's a kid that not that many people knew about. He's from Gadsden County. It's programmed just outside of Tallahassee. Safety, is it linebacker? Could he play possibly some kind of an offensive position, whether it's an H-back or running back? He's 6'2", 200 pounds, and he can change directions and run really well. Those guys, you have a plethora of options. Maybe it's linebacker that he sticks with, because he can cover. He has some natural ability to stick with running backs in coverage. And being able to be a quote-unquote 3-down linebacker is not something that you see every day with a lot of big-time prospects. They're not able to cover that well. And it's a problem in the NFL. That's why so many teams go with 3, if not 4 wide receivers, and a lot of their base sets, or they put out a flex tight end. Because if you're going to leave your linebacker out there and you want to play any cover 1, or they're in circumstances where they're basically in cover 1 because they got so many people into the pattern, they can't do it. This kid's an exception to that rule, and I know he's very under-recruited. Being from the Panhandle does not help him, but Dalen Green is an athlete. Really thought he was good at Under Armour, and I've seen a little bit of film of him. I'd like to see him play this fall. I'm curious to see what he can do in a game. He's one of the kids I've kind of got circled. I might come back to him later this year and just try to figure out. But again, versatility, linebacker. Maybe he's as a nickel linebacker, he's a lock to be good. He's already proven that. Is he an every down guy yet? I don't know, because he's 200 pounds right now, but in a year or two, he'll be a 3-down linebacker to clarify. And his recruitment is pretty interesting. Kind of like James Johnson's got a bunch of schools listed, Georgia, Florida, Miami, etc. We don't know where he's going because he's got so many big boys. Dalen Green's on a whole nother level. Dalen Green has got Mississippi State, UCF, Arkansas, Ole Miss, Boston College, Louisville, and he's trying to set up his visits. I imagine there are a few big-time programs that are trying to figure out what position they want to play him at, and they're going to want to see him this spring. So his list might develop a little differently than like James Johnson. Again, James has got several OVs set up, and I wouldn't be surprised if he took some in the fall too, because he can't find a lot of defensive tackles. So guys are definitely in his position are going to get more opportunities. But Dalen Green, people got to figure out what position he's going to play. Versatility. I put it on the screen on the YouTube page. Like, look, he's as versatile a linebacker as there is in Florida this year. If you want to play him there, I could see somebody using him as an H-back or as a move tight end, meaning a guy that you put in the slot on one play, put in the backfield on the next, flex him out, whatever it may be. He could do all kinds of things. And I wouldn't discount playing running back or something like that in college too. Everybody will have their different opinion. And Dalen Green is one of my favorite recruits in the state of Florida for the class of 2026. When we come back, we're going to talk about a Notre Dame commitment that is also very versatile and very athletic, and move on down the list here on the Top 50 Florida Countdown. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. New customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins, $200 to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. For me, I've always been a massive March Madness fan. I think if you're going to make a wager on any of this kind of stuff, there's two things that I look at. Number one, who's going to win it all? If you want to pick on that, fire away, because that's the most fun. Who's going to win it? It's really hard to pick each year. This year will not be any different. But my favorite thing, Cinderella stories. I love underdogs, and I tend to lean on the teams that have the ability to shoot threes. I don't necessarily pick these teams to win it. That's pretty rare. But I do like to see some of the upsets, and I think it makes the NCAA tournament awesome. And FanDuel gives you a chance to use that on your bet. So visit FanDuel.com and get into the college hoops action all tournament long. Dylan Faison is one of the most unique recruits in the country because his brother's at Notre Dame. He's having success, Jordan Faison. And now Dylan is a guy that is athletic. He is twitchy. He's probably slightly ahead of where his brother was at the same stage, but they have similar frames. Brother's a wide receiver, so is Dylan. And I do believe that he will be a guy that is going to benefit from his brother's ability to win on the gridiron, but they're also going to be both gaining from something else. They're both not just good, but elite lacrosse players. Faison might be the number one lacrosse player in the country, and he's going to play both sports just like his older brother is at Notre Dame. This is a kid that I don't know how you grade him in any other way if you've seen him live other than to say his upside is tremendous. Still thin. He's 160, 170 pounds, but he makes guys miss. He's really fluid, and he has the ability to make the catch away from his body look very natural. Kind of reminds me of a guy that would play shortstop or center field in baseball, another sport. Versatility, again, that's something I talked about a few moments ago with Dalen Green, and this is another guy. Faison, I love his ability to change direction in a route or after he gets the ball. I'm sure Notre Dame will look at him as a possible punt returner, possibly somebody that they could use at the running back position in certain situations if they wanted to put him in the backfield if a team likes to play man, something I was discussing a few minutes ago about Dalen Green. Not many linebackers are going to be able to handle a really athletic guy like that. So in motion or in the backfield, that's a possibility. And if nothing else, if they really wanted to try something different, because he does have physicality, he could end up in the secondary. That's not any way, shape, or form something that I project. But from a physical standpoint, what he's able to do, and he's got a physical nature, because if you haven't seen a lacrosse game, trust me, it's a very, very physical sport. He plays in South Florida at St. Andrews, I believe is the name of the school. Really good lacrosse program. And he's somebody that embodies it. He wants to play both sports at the college level. That tells you a little bit about him. He's committed to Notre Dame, and far as I know, he's not going to take any other visits. Southern Cal, Florida, and several other schools are trying to get him to take OVs. But right now, it looks like Faison is going to stick with the Fighting Irish. Next up on the list is another player that, depending on how you want to evaluate it, could be a versatile guy, whether it's offense or defense, but he is projected to play on the offensive side of the ball. That is Larry Miles out of Jones High School in Orlando. It's one of my favorite guys. The only thing about him that is going to keep his ranking down for some people, and I like him better than most, Larry is 5'11". He's 170 pounds. He's not the biggest guy in the world. Okay, that's fine. But as a route runner, he's very advanced. He understands circumstance. He understands big moments, and he makes plays. Whether it's in a game that I've seen him playing, whether it's a circumstance where I saw him at like South Florida for the Under Armour camp, he was awesome. I'm not sure if he was better there or if it was better at Battle Miami, another South Florida situation, because that was 7-on-7. It's debatable, but those are big deals because it's a lot of elite talent, and he was tremendous at both. So I'm not as concerned about his size as some other people. The only question I have about Larry is whether or not he's going to end up just playing slot, or if Larry's going to end up playing some flanker, playing to the field side on the outside. Maybe, maybe not. It depends on the program he goes to. Pitt, Louisville, Kentucky, Miami are all options among others. We'll see what official visits end up taking place for him. I know that his teammate, Darion Coleman, is somebody that would love to have him at Miami. Darion is committed to the Canes, obviously. He's the quarterback commitment, and he's really good. He's one of my favorite players in this class, regardless of state or position. He's a fun guy to watch. And he hooks up with Larry Miles deep underneath screens. They've got a rapport, and I think that's also helped Larry a little bit. When you play with a good quarterback at the high school level, it's helpful. But when you play with an elite one that has a Miami offer among many others and is committed to the Canes, I think that helps you understand what's coming next, because every day at practice, you're going to get opportunities to make catches and be involved with plays that at most high schools you wouldn't. So he's going to be a little further along, and it's another reason I really like Larry Miles. Finally, for this episode, at number 36 is Javion Mallory. He's out of West Boca Raton High School. Part of the 6A state championship team, has power. He's able to grind out yards, and I knew that. But I was really impressed with him at Miami Under Armour, because it's really hard for linebackers and running backs because you need to see physicality at those positions to grade them. Linebacker in particular is about impossible to grade in a camp setting. I need to see them thump, and you're not allowed to. But with that in mind, I already knew Mallory could do that. His film was pretty clear. Could he catch? And did he look natural? Is it comfortable from play to play to play? And the answer is yes. This is a kid that's about 200 pounds or so, and he turns well. He's not stiff. He can catch the ball away from his body. I think that's going to make him an every down running back, which improves his stock in my book. I know running backs are not as quote unquote valued as some other positions. Linebacker and running back are probably the two lowest valued positions on the field anymore. But I just think Mallory is a guy that no matter where he signs, could be good in pass protection and be good at catching the football. And I already knew just from watching his film that he could really run the ball, good low base, change his direction when he's got a burst. He doesn't have to really slow down to make a cut. This is a really good football player. As far as his schools, Miami is the team to beat. Clemson's made a little move. Florida and Notre Dame have been involved. We'll see if he visits either one of those schools or if he takes an OB down the road. But right now, I really like the Miami Hurricanes. Barring something unforeseen, I think that's where he will end up. We'll see. But great kid, and I hope he ends up happy wherever he goes. He was really gracious at Miami Under Armour when we were talking to him. So I love guys like him that have all the offers too, and they come out and compete. That's really, really important because not every guy does that. A lot of recruits will pass on that opportunity. I've got my O's. I'm good to go. Javion Mallory did not do that. Thank you once again for making the Portal Podcast, your first listen each and every day. Truly appreciate you stopping in to get all your latest recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal news. We will see you again soon. Please like and subscribe.